Hello boys and girls, welcome to Mrs. Bandu's Math Movies. This movie is for my 4th period class, Course 2, Lesson 3-3, Adding and Subtracting Mixed Numbers. So we want to add and subtract mixed numbers and also solve problems involving mixed numbers. Okay, and here we go. You are training for a race. You run 2 3/5 miles in the morning and 1 4/5 miles in the afternoon. What is your total mileage? Okay, so first thing we need to consider is let's look at our fractions. We have common denominators, so that's good. It's going to make our life easier. We're not going to have to find a common denominator. So I can add the fractions. So 3 plus 4 gives me 7 on the top, fifths. Okay, and add the whole numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. So this gives me 3 7/5. Remember, 7/5 is 1 2/5. Remember, to find a mixed number for an improper fraction, you take the numerator and divide by the denominator. So 5 into 7 goes 1 time, and you have 2 left over, so it's 1 2/5. That's where that comes from. So I'm going to, instead of thinking of this as 7/5, I'm going to think of it as 1 2/5, and now add another time. 3 plus 1 is 4 2/5. So when I simplify, sometimes I'm going to have to break the number apart a little bit and then add it back together. So your total mileage for the day is 4 2/5 miles. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now, when we have different denominators, that's going to make our work a little more complicated, although certainly not impossible. We want to find 5 1/2 plus 3 2/3. First, we can estimate. This is about 5, or really about 6, either way. I think 5. I think 6 because it's half. So really, to me, I think this should be about, I disagree with this. I think it should be 6 plus 4 to be about 10. Now, if you rounded down to 5 plus 4 for an estimate here, I'm okay with that as well on this particular type of thing. Okay, so I'm looking for the least common denominator for 2 and 3 because I have thirds. And that's 6. And remember, if you can't come up with it in your head, list out multiples of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6. Oops, as soon as I see one, that's going to be my least common denominator as well. So this is going to be 6. 2 times 3 is 6, so 1 times 3 is 3. So that gives us 5 3/6. Here, 3 times 2 is 6, so 2 times 2 gives us the 4/6 there. Add the fractions, so 4 plus 3 is 7. Keep my numerator of 6. Add the whole numbers, 8. Okay. 7/6 can be rewritten as 1 1/6, because if you take 7 divided by 6, that's 1. With 1 left over, so 1 1/6. So I add that to the 8. So 8 plus 1, add the whole numbers, gives me 9, and I have the fraction 1/6. So the answer 9 1/6 is fairly close to the estimate that the book got of 9 or that I got of 10. Either one is okay. That simply tells me that my answer is reasonable. Okay, so in that case, I had to find a common denominator. Okay, let's look at subtracting with renaming. And that means that we sometimes have to borrow. I call it borrowing. The book calls it renaming. It's the same idea of borrowing, though. You bought 6 1/4 feet of rope and used 4 3/8 feet. How many feet of rope do you have left? And you have several options here. So what we want to do is we want to subtract here. First of all, if you sort of use some estimation here, 6 minus 5 is 2. So that means my answer should probably be in the range of around, 6 minus 5 is 1. Not sure why I said 2. On one side, you could also think then 6 minus 4 is 2. So that tells you then that your answer is really probably going to be between 1 and 2. That's another way of estimating that's sometimes almost more helpful than just the straight estimation. Okay, so I have fourths and I have eighths. Since 8 is the LCD, because 4 goes into 8, I can just use that. 4 times 2 is 8, so 1 times 2 is 2. So I have 6 and 2/8 minus 4 and 3/8. I can't say 2 minus 3 and get a positive number. So that tells me I need to rename what some people also call borrow. Okay, so what I can do is break the 6 and 2/8 into 5 and 1 and 2/8. Okay, basically what I did here is I took 1 away from the whole number and I put it with the fraction. So now I have 5 wholes and then 1 and 2/8. We will go over some manipulatives or drawings with this in class as well. If it's a little confusing right now, please don't panic. Just try to follow through and have the idea in your head. Okay? Alright, so this is going to be, now I'm going to want to write this mixed number right here as an improper fraction. So 8 times 1 is 8 plus 2 is 10. So I have 5 plus 10/8 or 5 and 10/8. Okay. Whoops. At this point, now I can subtract. 10 minus 3 is 7. I keep my denominator. And 5 minus 4 is 1. So I have 1 and 7/8 feet of rope left, so the correct choice is C. And again, I predicted that my answer would probably end up somewhere between 1 and 2, and it did. Okay. Again, we will go over the idea of renaming or borrowing some more in class, but basically what you're doing is you're shifting one of the wholes into the fraction, or to the fraction. You have one less whole. Now you have a mixed number where the fraction was, the one that you borrowed plus the fraction that was already there. Turn that fraction into an improper fraction and go from there. Okay, so again, we'll talk about this a little bit more in class. Please have the quick checks completed. Bring in any questions you have about anything having to do with this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care now. Bye.